Red Bull's domination came to a close at the Singapore Grand Prix. After a horrible qualifying session that saw both drivers fail to reach Q3, neither Max Verstappen nor Sergio Perez were able to achieve even a podium finish for the first time this season. Is this the start of Red Bull's downfall? You clicked on the right video to find out. Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez were both confident that Red Bull's winning streak will come to an end coming into Sunday's race. This is all thanks to their qualifying results, with Verstappen in 11th and Perez in 13th. They believe that these positions accurately represent the competitiveness of the Red Bull car in the context of the Singapore Grand Prix. They weren't able to fine-tune the car to meet the unique demands of this circuit, but even if they had, it was obvious from the beginning that this track posed a significant challenge for the characteristics of their car, as Verstappen pointed out after the session, when he said, "It already felt like that on the simulator, that this was a difficult setup window for the car. Then we went to Suzuka on the sim, and it just felt amazing again, like most of the races." This provides the context through which we should evaluate their performance. But even within that context, the outcome was nothing short of disastrous. The track's grip levels here escalate rapidly, perhaps even more so than at the Hungaroring. The most striking example of this was during the transition from the first to the second runs in Q1, where the track improved by approximately 1 second, if not more, in just a matter of minutes. This rapid evolution in track grip throughout the weekend played a role in some critical decisions that ultimately took the car in a direction that, in hindsight, turned out to be the wrong one. Verstappen went on to explain that. "The car felt not too bad in FP3 this morning, but then we tried a few more things on the car for qualifying, and I think it tipped it over and it became undrivable again." This unexpected shift in performance coincided with the implementation of 2 distinct rule clarifications by the FIA during that weekend, specifically addressing the issue of flexible body parts. The initial clarification, referred to as TD18, aimed to reinforce regulations related to flexible wings, with a particular focus on teams attempting to conceal movable mechanisms and innovative designs that centered around the nose. The second rule adjustment, which had received less attention, was a revised version of TD39. This revision had initially been introduced during the 2022 Canadian Grand Prix, with the primary goal of eliminating the issue of porpoising in Formula One cars. The revised wording of this directive explicitly prohibited any tactics that teams might have been employing to take advantage of the flexibility allowances concerning the floor around the skid block holes. There were suspicions that certain teams had been utilizing this method to lower their plank and floor significantly closer to the track surface at high speeds, all while avoiding the risk of it being deemed as excessive wear. Despite the fact that Red Bull's performance difficulties coincided precisely with the introduction of these new technical directives, the team believes it would be misleading to suggest that these TDs are the primary reason behind their struggles. In fact, Red Bull's team principal, Christian Horner, was resolute in stating that the team had not been compelled to make any alterations to their car due to the new FIA stance. When asked to elaborate on the specifics of what led to their issues, Horner commented, "It's all engineering stuff. There's no silver bullets in this business. I know all of you would love to blame the TD, but unfortunately we can't even blame that, because it's not changed a single component on our car." Rather than attributing Red Bull's challenges to the technical directives, Horner suggests that the root cause of their qualifying struggles was associated with their setup. According to him, the team made significant setup errors right from the start during Friday practice, which ultimately led to their difficulties. "We knew coming here it would be expected to have closer competition," he said. "But I think it took us a bit by surprise, just how far out we were on Friday. I think that we were not just in the right operating window for the car, particularly over a single lap. And when you're not there, then the tyres feel horrible. Everything just doesn't work." Horner proposed that the issue could be traced back to the team's pre-weekend simulation runs, which had inadvertently placed them in an unsuitable setup window. This situation was further exacerbated by the track resurfacing, which altered the nature of the circuit's bumps and grip levels, making it more challenging to anticipate the ideal configuration. Red Bull's race preparation faced more challenges when they introduced a new floor update. In the end, They opted to remove this update for qualifying, as they were uncertain whether it might have contributed to their performance troubles. Horner further added that, "I think that maybe our simulation before the weekend didn't lead us to the right conclusion. Then you have to sort of unravel your way out of that. I think we just ended up in the wrong window and it exposed some of our weaknesses that the car has. But it has actually been a very useful lesson for next year because it gives us some very useful insight and certain things that hopefully we can address in our RB20. Ted Kravitz of Sky Sports F1 also dismissed this notion of Red Bull suffering from the new regulations. During the qualifying session, he said, "Yesterday we saw the newer of the two Red Bull floors with the new edges. They do have some new floor edges." Going further into the discussion, Martin Brundle chimed in with a critical observation, saying, "It's something dramatically affecting the aerodynamics. It can't be suspension, geometry, kinematics, or what have you. Something has completely destabilized the aerodynamics on that Red Bull around this track. The big telling point will be in Suzuka next weekend. They've got time to sort it out to an extent because that's very much an aero circuit." One of the fundamental strengths of the RB19 has been its capacity to maintain a consistent aerodynamic platform across a range of speeds, ensuring greater predictability and consistency when tackling different types of corners. The team's efficient ride control system enables the car to operate at a low ride height during high-speed runs, where maximum downforce is generated without experiencing bouncing. This setup, which maintains a relatively higher stationary ride height, indicates that the car utilizes a softer suspension, offering several advantages in terms of performance. It's worth noting that the car tends to face more challenges on bumpy tracks. A notable incident occurred at the Belgian Grand Prix earlier this year, where it became apparent that Red Bull's drivers were easing off through Eau Rouge during the race to prevent excessive bottoming out of the car. Looking back on the weekend, Red Bull's chief engineer Paul Monahan acknowledged that the Singapore Grand Prix had brought to light certain weaknesses in the car that were already familiar within the team. He said, "We've got some inherent problems in it that we can't necessarily fix in a race weekend. We've made some mistakes and it all culminated in us going out in Q2. It's nothing fundamental, but some errors were made on the way and there were some problems we can correct into next year. On we go." Sergio Perez marked his 250th Formula One race of his career, but unfortunately, his performance in the Red Bull didn't stand out, and he knows exactly why. Following the Singapore Grand Prix, Perez explained the main reason for their struggles to the media, saying, "It was not a great day for us. It was as tough as we expected it to be. We struggled all race and nothing really worked. The safety cars came at the wrong time, and it was similar to the VSCs. It just wasn't our day. In the end, we were on a different strategy to everyone else, and that was the best we could do. I think we have plenty of things to investigate after this weekend, and a lot to understand as a team. I think the issues were circuit-related, and we should be stronger next weekend. Let's move on and look forward to Japan." Following the Singapore weekend, Formula One heads to Japan, specifically to Circuit Suzuka. There, the Red Bull drivers will once more give their all in their pursuit of standing on the top step of the podium. Will the next race prove that the Singapore Grand Prix was just a misstep for Max Verstappen and company, or will it show us that their Achilles heel has finally been shown to the world? Tell us what you think in the comments section down below, and, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.